The Suns are up 2-0 against the Dallas Mavericks. First game, they were blowing them out, and then Luka and them, the crew, come back. Game 2, they got blown out the water in the second half of the game. Now, we've seen Luka dominate the ball this series a lot.
Every series.
Yes, you're right. He's averaging 40, though, 48 and 8. His splits are amazing, 54% from the field, 43% from 3. But do you think Luka's ball dominance is a problem? I know in the Discord you got into an argument with Epic about this and about how if he could change his play style.
Oh, yeah. We were, let me think. My memory really is terrible. We were talking about if you swap Luka and Devin Booker right now, will the Suns be as good? And I said, no, not right now. Like, it takes time for somebody to learn how to play off ball and stuff like that. But
Suns would be better. Suns would be better.
Better than who?
Luka on the Suns is better than D-Book on the Suns.
I don't know. Let's topic for another day, though. I don't know. I don't see a much bigger difference.
I do.
You think so?
Yep. It's Luka.
What do you mean?
Luka's a better player than D-Book.
Just because you're a better player doesn't mean the situation deems it better.
If you are going off the assumption that Luka dominates the ball in Phoenix as well, which is a possibility, that would look a lot like Harden in Houston with CP, which that team almost beat the best team ever assembled in basketball.
That's tough.
And Luka's a better playoff performer too than Harden.
I don't think so. I don't think it would look the same. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the series. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about the back and forth. It's not even been a back and forth. Luka being bald, it's like you said, bringing up James Harden. People compare them because they're the same type of player in terms of ball dominance. It's kind of like heliocentric offense. He has the ball a lot. Jalen Brunson, you saw when Luka was out, he break out. Everybody's still trying to figure out, is that more bad Utah defense or just Jalen Brunson breaking out? We don't know. We'll give it a 50-50. Jalen Brunson was great, but Utah's defense is also bad. The Suns are a different beast in Utah, clearly. They just have focused on stopping everybody else and kind of letting Luka cook. And even if you watch the games, Luka's been cooking, but it's like the game one, Luka was cooking. But he was kind of cooking in the sense where he kept trying to just keep them in the game. Like, the Suns look like they've had control from the start to finish. Like, they've been not in cruise control, but they've kind of been on, we know what they're going to bring to the table, but they're just not as good as us. They've been in control from offense and defense. And then last game, you saw in the second half, they just took over. I think the role players haven't been good in terms of offense. They haven't been as best as they could have been in terms of the Utah series, because Utah isn't the same as the Suns. The Suns know how to turn it up in the playoffs. We've seen that. And Utah, like you said, on the perimeter, they're just not as good as Phoenix. You know, you got guys like Bridges. Devin Booker puts that effort on defense. Chris Paul at this age still puts that effort on defense. Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, even DeAndre Ayton. He gives that effort on the perimeter when he gets on the switch. So you got guys who play for each other, give that effort on the defensive end. As in terms of Utah, where they're just letting you cook up, it's really tough for Dallas. They're looking at this defense, and it's really tough for them to score. They're just not that type of players. And Luka, he needed Jalen Brunson to be that guy he was in round one to make this series competitive. As great as Luka is, Phoenix is there aren't the Clippers where Phoenix is kind of more well-rounded in the sense where they, like, everybody chips in, everybody does their thing on offense, and they're just too much better than Dallas from 1 to 10. So it's really tough for Luka right now. But I think, him averaging 40 is great. But I think that, I don't think it's that big in a landscape where he's going to do that regardless, but his teammates have to step up, so his numbers have to go down.
Yes, Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie, you know what they're shooting for this series? 2 games, but
probably not good.
32%. And that's the second and third. And as good as those guys have been at stretches this year, we saw Jalen just completely dismantle the Jazz in the first 2 games of the first round. It's a learning curve because they didn't have to play a team like the Suns in round 1. The Jazz were, like I've said before, they're very flawed in many different ways. Now you're playing a Suns team where they're trying to work together again after not playing with each other for several weeks. And ultimately, they're playing on the road against the best team in the Western Conference, perhaps, in my opinion, they are. And it takes a little bit of time for them to kind of get back into a rhythm against one of the best defenses in the game that matches up pretty darn well against them. Are the Suns going to sweep the Mavericks? I don't think so. They're just the better team. And Luka, as good as he's playing, his team is just outmatched. Maxi Kleber, he's shooting like 45%.
Bro, they haven't beaten them in like 2 years.
The Mavericks.
Yeah, it's been mad
They
long.
may have Luka.
November
but-
29, 2019.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think the Suns would rather have DeAndre Ayton because now they have Monty Williams and Chris Paul. But yeah, I mean, the Suns are just a better team. And like, I don't think it's that confusing. Like, as good as Luka is, they're just outmatched. And this goes to show you need a number two that's a little bit more than Jalen Brunson, as good as he was at peaks during this year. Right now, he's not playing well enough.
Jalen Brunson is a good player. He's not a great player. That's really what's showing in this series. The Suns are just a better team. Every single quarter, it seems like they've had control. The Mavericks just shoot the lights out the ball. Even though everybody talks about how this team is so outmatched, I think that's more due to Phoenix just being that good than Dallas being bad. Dallas is still shooting 41% from three. I mean, they're still shooting well. I understand Brunson and Dinwiddie haven't been there, but I said this before the series started when we previewed it, was that Luka replaces what Brunson did. He doesn't add on to it. So what Brunson was doing, averaging 28 versus Utah, Luka comes in, the ball is now out of Brunson's hand. It's now in Luka's hand. The shots for Brunson are much different. It's much more spot-up stuff. Occasionally, he gets the ball. It's harder to find his rhythm like that. You don't want the ball in Brunson's hands that long anyway against a team like Phoenix, but that's why he hasn't had the same value in this series versus Utah. I underestimated how good the Suns were. And a common theme in these playoffs for me is overestimating star power and thinking that is enough to beat a well-rounded team. Celtics versus Nets. I picked the Nets because KD and Kyrie, they'll save the day. Mavs versus Suns. Oh, I'll have the Mavs in 7 because I think Luka is just that good. But the truth is, well-rounded, greatly built teams outweigh star power. Especially if that team, which is the Suns, they don't have the superstar per se, like a top 3-5 player in the league, but they have an all-star in D-Book. They have an all-star in CP. And D-Book is teetering around that area of where he's a little bit more than an all-star now. He's becoming that now. So they have some stars, but it's just all around. They just have a great team. They have great role players that surround those guys. I think Luka's ball dominance is an issue, but I think it's an issue that they can't get around right now. Because the issue is that, yes, he's super ball dominant, but what's the alternative? You give it to Brunson, you give it to Dinwiddie, you run some type of motion offense. I mean, there's really no alternative here. He's ball dominant because he has to be ball dominant because the Dallas Mavericks to this point in his career have failed to pair him with a legitimate second star. Kristaps was supposed to be that. He flopped in Dallas. Injuries were a big part of that, and also he just wasn't the player that everybody propped him up to be. Jalen Brunson just as recently started to become that second option, but we know he's not good enough to be a second option. Right now, Luka has to be ball dominant because of that. 37% usage percentage in a regular season, that's the most all-time. In the playoffs, it's even higher. It's at 40%. So in the playoffs, every single possession pretty much is ran through Luka. I also don't like their offense. Their offense is Luka brings it up, he takes a step back shot, or Luka brings it up, he dribbles out the shot clock until there's 6 seconds left. He passes it to a teammate. That teammate has 3 seconds to shoot, or Luka settles for a jump shot, or it's a pick and roll. The offense is very bland, and it's easy to defend. And we see the same thing in guys like James Harden in Houston. He wasn't able to win playing the way he played. Granted, they ran into Golden State, but when they ran into Golden State, he had somebody in CP who was able to take the load and also carry the offense. Luka doesn't have that. I think it's possible to win when there's a heliocentric offense. You just have to have the personnel. The Mavericks don't have the personnel, and I think in this series, that's just what's been showing the most. They just don't have the necessary players to get by that. Phoenix is just a great team. I think they're the best team in basketball. And my pick out the West is the Warriors still, but Phoenix is a better team. I'm picking the Warriors because of the Steph factor, but the Suns, there's no weakness on their team. Wing defenders, they have it. Shot creators, they have it. Interior presence, they have it with DeAndre Ayton. Switchability, they have it. There's no weakness for Phoenix.
The most clutch team since those Warriors teams with Steph in 2017, 2016. The Mavericks just aren't dynamic enough. And the Suns, we love to prop up Devin Booker and MVP race or this and that with player awards. They're just perfectly built, and the cohesion of their unit gets the most out of their personnel. You look at the mid-range shooting. They're unlike any other team we've seen the last 5 years that's so dominant. They don't take a lot of threes. They don't get to the rim much. They don't get to the foul line a lot. They're just hyper efficient at everything. 3-point range, they got a bunch of marksmen. Mid-range, best in the game. They get to the rim, they're efficient there. DeAndre Ayton, highest field goal percentage in playoff history. Small sample, I don't care. Pretty impressive. And then, of course, defensively, they have everyone's bought into their role. And Mikal Bridges is phenomenal. The best 3-and-D win in basketball. And everybody else has fit in line with the culture cultivated. And it reminds me a ton of San Antonio. Those 2014 teams, so on and so forth. This is some of the best basketball we've seen. But since they don't have a Luka Doncic or this exciting grade A or tier A star, people don't fully appreciate it, but it's basketball at its finest.
Yeah, I think Phoenix, you're right. And they're the best team in basketball to me. They just have no weakness. And what they've been able to do, I mean, I think the record is 71-0 after leading after 3 quarters. They don't blow leads. They're a disciplined team. And it's just versus the Mavericks. You see it. It's every single quarter. Even if the Mavericks go on a little bit of a hot streak from 3 and they're leading or whatever, the Suns have had complete control of this series. Maybe Luka gets them 1. But even that, I'm like, this could be a sweep. Just because the Suns have, I mean, before game 2, I mean, I think it was the second quarter of game 2, the Dallas Mavericks got their first lead in the series.
To be fair, the Suns shot 65% from the field in game 2, and they're going to be pretty efficient in the series. That's kind of just how the Suns team is built. But they're not going to be this efficient. Like Chris Paul shooting 62%, that's going to go down the road a little bit. In my opinion, I
don't
think
know if he's hunting Luka. I don't know.
62%. That's almost 2 out of every 3 shots going in. I think Luka gets a game, maybe 2. It reminds me a lot of the Denver Golden State series, but that also speaks to the matchup for the Suns and just how special a team they are. All the attention's been on Golden State. They're a great team, but the Suns team is different.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, Luka being ball dominant, it's a given, but defensively, he's been a net negative, and Luka is creeping into that category of a player where everything he does is being excused. There's an excuse for it. Luka's a bad defender. It's as simple as that. Last year, he got hunted in the playoffs versus the Clippers in the fourth quarter. Now we're seeing the same thing happen. I mean, there are times where Jay Crowder is beating him off the dribble. I counted 2 times it happened in game 2 in the second half. Jay Crowder is beating him off the dribble. I understand if it's D-Book, if it's CP3, you can't let Jay Crowder beat you off the dribble. And although, and somebody on my comments when I made a video about it was saying that, oh, but the Mavericks rotations are messed up. Yeah, because if you let one player blow by you, the rotations get messed up because people have to help. Like that's how it happens. Luka, even if the bucket hasn't been scored on him, the bucket happened as a result of his defense. And his defense has been horrible. Does he get some slack because he's carrying such a big offensive load? Yes. Does he get ultimate, like, you just gonna, it's avoided? Oh, you don't even pay attention to his defense because offensively, look, no. Defensively, he's been horrible. And I think that's a trend within these young stars at point guard. Ja Morant, Trae Young, Luka. They're all great offensive engines, but they're not good defenders in the least. They're below average defenders.
Luka's passable with his size relative to Ja and Trae, but yeah, you're right.
Great offensive engines.
Getting burnt down by Jay Crowder is embarrassing. Like, it's just not. Come on. Like, you should be at least be able to guard him, you know? Trae Young, he gets a little pass because he's small. He's like 6 feet tall. Luka, you're 6'7", bro. It's not like you move like a pigeon.
It's also, I don't think we realize how strong he is.
Yeah, he's
His lower body.
He's a strong. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, come on,
You know
Jay
he has
Crowder.
a 6-pack, right?
See, and Jay Crowder.
I don't know.
Oh, all right.
I don't know if he has a 6-pack, but I wouldn't be shocked though.
Nah, he probably
JJ
like
Redick on his podcast said that when Luka takes his shirt off, it's not what you think it is.
Well, can't guard Jay Crowder.
So you might think it's like, gee, I don't know.
Chubby. I think.
How do you
he's
think Luka looks with his shirt off? I know that's
like
a
blobby?
crazy question.
Not like
You think so?
not like 6-pack, but just kind of like, you know, not blobby, but like flat in a sense.
Is there a picture of with his shirt off?
I'm not looking. Please don't look that up.
No, I'm looking at Basketball Reference. He's listed at 230, and he weighs more than that.
How do you know that?
I just don't think he weighs 230. That's probably his rookie weight.
No,
man.
he's. How do you know he's more than 230?
I mean, wasn't he like 260 coming into the season?
He could lose weight. He wasn't no damn 260. 260 is crazy.
I thought it was 260, right?
There are no pictures with his shirt off.
Why would there be pictures of his shirt off?
TMZ, they might get it. He's at a beach. You know those pictures where there's celebrities just at a beach.
Yeah, they be on some weird
Yeah,
stuff.
he went to
I wonder if
training
Luka
camp
has a
260.
6-pack though. I wonder if like you can see his abs like visibly if he's like that strong. I wonder how it looks.
Probably not.